Today, for the next few minutes, I want to talk about something that's really, to be fair, beyond my pay grade. That is to say, I'm very much a novice on these matters, and what I say should be taken with at least 1 and perhaps 10 or more grains of salt. But what I know of this subject is basically me speaking from the gut, as it were. I think we all have we all have sensory perception, the 5 senses, and we all have a sense that goes beyond the 5 senses. A sense of things, spidey senses, as they sometimes are called. Ever since I heard about the concept of Kala Yuga, and I don't claim to understand everything about it, but ever since I heard that subject, that notion expressed, and followed up on it, and learned a little more about it. Again, not beyond novice level, but it resonated with me. The notion, the thought that this is the Kala Yuga that we are in the middle of right now. Anybody who's a fan of the television show Community knows the reference to the darkest timeline, which is made in one of the more famous episodes, where everything plays out differently. The scenarios all play out differently if they roll the dice, and if a different number lands, then somebody else has to answer the door and for the pizza delivery man, and then that sets all other events in motion and so forth. It's really a great episode. But one of the scenarios turns out to be the darkest timeline, where everything goes haywire and people end up dying or permanently injured or otherwise scarred or disfigured or whatever, and everything goes wrong. I'm not going to say we're living in the darkest timeline, because things could obviously be worse. But I want to make it clear that when I say I have a sense of being in the maw of the Kala Yuga right now, if I can use that, if that's the correct use of metaphor there, being in the maw of the Kala Yuga. I like the word maw, M-A-W. That's really a very connotatively powerful word. In a metaphorical sense. But so no, this is not the darkest timeline, perhaps, but it is we are in the midst of an age of darkness, an age of degeneracy. Whatever the opposite of a golden age is, that a wooden age. What's the opposite of gold? Something that's absolutely not valuable. That's an age of shit, right? This is the shitty age instead of the golden age. But then again, it's interesting, to consider it in this way as well, because you can just dwell on the darkness, dwell on the depravity, the degeneracy, and all the negative things. It's very easy to do that, and to be, as they say, black-pilled, to be led into just full-on despair. But here's another way of looking at the way things are right now, the way things have been for the last 5, 6, 7 years. In a previous video, I talked about how I thought, in my assessment, it was 2015 when things took a turn for the significantly worse. Not that things were great before that, not that it wasn't still a very dark timeline even prior to 2015, but it was around 2015 that things took a really nasty turn, and we're still feeling the reverberations of the turn that things took in 2015, and it's ramified in its intensity. The other side of that, the other side. By the way, I'm wearing your favorite T-shirt. In case you're wondering, I know everybody's favorite T-shirt. I'm going to wear it into the noon mass in a minute. I'll probably put something on over it, actually, because I don't know if I want to go into mass just vibrating this type of angry energy. That's probably not the best thing. So I'll throw on a button-up shirt to put over it. But another way of looking at it is to say this is a time of revelation. This is a time, it's my understanding that part of the meaning of the word apocalypse is when darkness comes to light. And it says somewhere, I believe this is somewhere in Scripture, I don't know where, but that everything that's hidden will become manifest. Everything that's kept from us will be known. What's taken place over the last 6 or 7 years? A lot of hideously awful things that are going on that our ruling class is doing. A lot of things have come to light. A lot more people's eyes are opened to these things, and this in turn feeds into the censorship cycle, because prior to people coming into knowledge about these kinds of things, there really wasn't so much of a need to stomp everything down, to keep everybody from becoming aware by censoring stories or making it so that you can't talk about certain things on social media platforms like this one. An example I always give is, an example that predates the current state of things is the Franklin scandal. And if you don't know what the Franklin scandal is, look it up. It's truly awful, truly awful. When I came to know about it, it was my I hate this terminology, my red pill moment. It was something that really slapped me around good and put me in a deep funk for months. I just couldn't handle it. It was traumatizing to know about. But these are the kinds of things that more and more people are waking up to and becoming aware of and becoming knowledgeable about. And you can't put the genie back in the bottle. They tried to do it with the Franklin scandal when it broke in the early 90s or late 80s, somewhere around there. There was a documentary that was made about the Franklin scandal that was going to be on TV that got preempted at the last minute. And in a really unprecedented way. And supposedly all of the remaining footage of that documentary was supposed to have disappeared, but somebody kept a copy and eventually put it on YouTube. And now I don't know if it's on YouTube anymore because of how censorious YouTube has gotten, but I know it's still out there for anybody who wants to to find it. I believe it's called Conspiracy of Silence. Um, I'm not totally sure, but if you just type in Franklin Scandal Conspiracy of Silence documentary, I'm sure you'll find it somewhere. But that was an example of them having to say, we're taking this information, and we're just going to not allow it to get out there, not allow it to be promulgated to the public. And yet an end around was found. And that's why you should, this is why again, like I was saying yesterday, you should never just think it's hopeless, it's over, they've got all the control, we're their slaves forever. You should not entertain that mentality, because things are all, again, as I said yesterday, or the day before yesterday, things are always in flux. And, they succeeded at censoring this documentary, which implicated a lot of really powerful people, and yet somebody involved with the documentary, or maybe I don't know, we don't know who it was, but somebody made it so that this information was still broadcast and still can be seen. So bringing it back to today, what we have going on today is it's not just Franklin Scandal-esque stuff, although that's certainly a part of it. And anyone who's interested, check out my book, Meta Pizzagate, which I published in 2017. That's me ruminating on that aspect of what's going on, that they don't want us to know about, that they don't want us to think about, that they want to try to stomp underfoot and make it so that nobody is aware of. But a big part of what has made things so turbulent over the last few years is that this kind of stuff is getting out there, and people are becoming aware of it, and people are becoming conspiracy theorists, which just means they're seeing through the crap that the thoroughly owned and thoroughly synthetic mainstream media puts forth. They're seeing through that stuff and seeing that it's obviously not the truth, that there's more that goes on than meets the eye, and that the powerful, the rich and powerful are being given cover. But if people understand, if people see that they're being given cover, then they're not really being given cover, are they? It's again back to that Solzhenitsyn quote, which I'm going to just I'll probably butcher it here, or I'm not going to get it exactly right, but it goes something like, "They're lying to us. We know they are lying to us. They know that we know that they are lying to us. Yet they keep lying to us." So it's something like that. It's something like that kind of awareness, which must have been very familiar to anyone within the Soviet system, where everyone knew that the stuff that they were putting out in the state-controlled media was bullshit, but everybody also knew that you couldn't say that openly, or else you'd get a knock at the door at 2 a.m. And get dragged away for questioning or whatever. So there was just this sort of understanding, this sort of wink kind of way in which people communicated these things, or were able to understand that that the truth was not to be found in the state organs of propaganda. And the same kind of situation has developed now in the West. Whereas 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I think there was still the general idea that, the press was the fourth estate, that they were not organs of propaganda. That's so, that would have struck so many people as just paranoid. No, there are people out there doing their jobs, making sure that freedom is, that we all stay free, and that we have, we're being truly informed. Well, I shouldn't say no one believes that anymore, because of course there are still dupes, but increasingly people don't believe that stuff anymore. And so that's the positive side. That's the flip side of living in the perhaps the last days of the Kala Yuga, God willing. That's a reason why things are why there's so much anger and hostility and overall bad vibes going out there right now. Why there's so much hatred from those with power towards us, the ones they think of as their subjects, or even as their cattle, as some words translate to. Why there's so much anger and hatred for conspiracy theorists and people who aren't down for that, the just repeating the lies that we've been told. It's the fact that things are being revealed, things are being manifested. There is greater understanding. Yes, of course, there are still people there are still varying degrees of normies. I don't like to use the word normie, but there are still people who remain mostly unaware of these kinds of things that I'm talking about now. But there are so many more who have had their eyes opened. I prefer putting it that way, to saying they've been red-pilled, because it's not a question of ingesting something synthetic. It's a question of throwing away that which is synthetic and seeing that which is organic, that which is real. So those are my thoughts on the Kala Yuga and the apocalypse. Let me know what you think below, if you wish to. Thank you for watching. My name is Andy Nowicki. Check out my work at altrightnovelist.com. My latest book, The Insurrectionist, can be purchased from terrorhousepress.com.